Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I see there's a great chat going on right now about what games people are playing. And George, my guest, who's just here today, and I were talking about
Hey.
Fall Guys. So good taste, chat.
Yeah.
Like I said, today I'm joined by returning guest George Meza from MSI. Welcome to the stream, George.
Thank you, Trisha. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. So, first things first, for those who don't know, tell the folks what you do over at MSI.
Sure. So I'm part of the U.S. Marketing team for MSI, and I tend to do a lot of product videos for our stuff, and also go to a lot of events. And you might see me there whenever we have some more down the line, hopefully soon. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff like this.
Awesome. Well, as always, when George joins us, we're going to talk about something amazing from the Wizards at MSI. Today, we're focusing on two new pre built gaming desktops, the Codex R and the AEGIS RS. As always, with MSI systems, we're talking about a fantastic combination of performance, features, and stylish appearance, as you can see in the footage that we have rolling right below us here on the stream. We'll have links in the description below for those of you watching who want to check out the full details on the products that we talk about today, of course. Let's start off with the basics. What hardware stats are we looking at in these two systems?
Sure. So just a little quick overview. Just starting off with the Codex R. For this one, we're working with the new 10th gen Intel Core processors. So the Codex R actually comes with a B460 chipset motherboard. Also comes with, like I said, 10th gen up to an i7 and RTX 2060 graphics card, 16 gigs of RAM. Moving over to the Aegis RS, that cranks it up a little bit. Well, now we're looking at the Z490 chipset motherboards, and top of the line Intel 10th gen up to the i9 10900K, and as well the graphics get a boost up to the RTX 2080 Super.
Totally. So you just mentioned them, but let's talk in more detail about some of the most exciting components in each build, starting with the CPU. Both systems will be shipping with the latest Intel 10th gen processors, which is always a lovely thing to hear. The Aegis has up to a Core i9 10900K, as you mentioned, and the Codex R can have up to a Core i7 10700F. What can you tell us about the 10th gen? What can you tell us in general about 10th gen Intel and the CPUs that come with these systems specifically?
Sure, it's a very strong generation, especially for gaming. At the moment, I believe the i9 10900K still, best gaming-wise CPU you can get at the moment. So, very powerful stuff. Like you said, the codecs are can go up to an i7 10700F. So that F is kind of just indicative that those particular CPUs don't have integrated graphics, which isn't necessarily needed day to day for gaming systems. You have a dedicated GPU, and that's what you want to be using anyway. It's still a very powerful CPU. You have an 8-core, 16 threads. It can boost all the way up to 4.8 gigahertz in clock. So very, very powerful stuff. And of course, the i9, another beast itself. So 10 core, 20 thread, and that's a K processor, meaning that it's unlocked. So that allows you to mess with the multiplier for the core for the CPU, meaning that you can overclock. It gives you that option, and this generation is really great in certain applications, certain types of workloads. You're seeing up even 30% increase in performance compared to previous generations. So it's great to have in your system. Great for gaming, of course.
For sure. Now, on the GPU side, the Codex comes with up to the latest NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 and the Aegis with up to an RTX 2080 Super.
Right.
What kind of performance can people expect from these cards?
Sure. So for the Codex R, especially the 2060, for that, I would suggest, playing with a 1080p monitor, things like that. So your monitor resolution has a pretty good effect on your gameplay experience. When you're gaming, your FPS will fluctuate depending on your resolution. So with the RTX 2060, it's definitely no slouch. You can even do some ray tracing enabled work, with games that use that, like the new, Minecraft that just came out. Definitely a great game to play with that. Ray tracing is awesome. Of course, everybody knows with the lighting, how it affects that, and how nicer everything looks with it. for the 2060, of course, has, I believe, a little bit over 1,000, or 1080 actually, 1080 CUDA cores with 66 VRAM. So moving over from that to the 2080 Super, you're getting over 3,000 CUDA cores now. So a lot more boost in performance. That's the CUDA cores are, of course, for those that don't know, the processors for the CPU. I'm sorry, for the GPU for NVIDIA. So with that boost in performance, you're able to now take the RTX or the ray tracing experience to 4K and get pretty high frame rates, 4K, and have a great experience at that resolution as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always suggest or ask people when they ask me what graphics card they need, what size monitor do you love to game on? That is like question number one. So 100%.
Great question to ask.
Very, very powerful cards. Right. One of the things that MSI is known for is their motherboard. So what kind of features are you getting with the motherboards in these two builds?
Right. So for the Codex R, we're, like I mentioned before, we're going with a B460 chipset. That chipset's a little bit more, no frills, get the work, the job done kind of build. We're going with our, I believe for this current build, the B460M A Pro. So with this type of motherboard, you're getting a dual channel, 2 RAM slot motherboard with a M.2 slot with a heatsink on it. So a lot of little perks like that, 1 gigabyte LAN, and just the normal features you would be getting with those type of motherboards. Now with the AEGIS RS, now that we're moving over to Z490, which is the chipset that lets you overclock your CPUs, and that's why we're pairing that with the 10900K. Mm-hmm. You're getting a very, very good VRM, so the cooling solution for that. And that allows you to overclock your card and your CPU and push that over its limits and really get the most performance out of it. Included with that is now 4 dual channel RAM slots, as well as multiple M.2 slots that are Optane compatible. So if you want to speed up your disk drives, you can definitely do so by adding Optane memory to the system. And you get now a boosted Ethernet jack, so that's now 2.5 gig instead of just the typical 1 gig that you would find in most motherboards. So you're getting a lot of new features, and of course what everybody's here for is RGB. So a lot of addressable RGB support as well with the Z490 chipset.
Love those MSI motherboards. Thank you for breaking down those features. So for the folks who are watching this video right now, who might be in the market for a pre-built gaming PC, how would you distinguish these two? It sounds like the AEGIS has close to the top of the line specs. So who is that model specifically for versus who might choose the Codex?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, the AEGIS RS definitely has enthusiast level components in it. Like we mentioned, the 10900K, the up to the 2080 Super. So for this, it's somebody that just wants to get the best performance out of their machine and have the best gaming experience with that. Especially people that are also looking to stream or do other multitasking with the system, because having this powerful hardware definitely allows you to do that without having your system bogged down at all. So it'll still be running snappy, especially with the AEGIS RS. For storage device, you're going to be seeing an NVMe M.2. So really fast loading speeds as well with that. So if you're looking to get the best of what's out there, then that's definitely the one you go to. However, everything comes with a little price, so they're not necessarily the easiest on the wallet. But that's why we have the Codex R. So if you're looking to get something more budget friendly, just get something more entry level in relative to the AEGIS R, because I think it's still very powerful myself. You could definitely go with the Codex R, and you're going from i5s, i7s, and up to like we mentioned, the 2060 for the graphics card. And for that price range, you might even see some sub $1,000. So it's a really great entry platform for people that just want to get into PC gaming and also have a great experience, especially at 1080p.
Awesome. So now we've been talking a bit about what sets these awesome rigs apart, but what do they both share? What do people get from MSI gaming PCs in general that you'll see here?
Right. So specifically for these two, you're getting the high quality components that MSI offers pretty much from top to bottom and everything in between. So from the case to the motherboard, their MSI parts, pretty much anything that we provide that's going into the systems. We try to make it in-house as much as possible and just keep everything inside the MSI ecosystem for parts. So just make sure you have a great compatibility with all your components, and without having any random glitches that you might find from mixing and matching different stuff that might be out there. That being said, though, these are great systems to get because they're very upgradable. At the end of the day, these PCs are very, very standard in terms of what we've offered in the past, like your Trident series, for example. So for these, if you're kind of trying to dip your toe into PC gaming and building your own PC, these are great starter points to go with. You won't necessarily have to upgrade anytime soon, necessarily, but if you do want to upgrade your graphics card down the line, or add more RAM, add more storage, you can definitely do that yourself, and learn step by step of how to build your own computer. If it's a little daunting for you at first. So basically, all these parts you see on these builds, you could buy them off the rack at Newegg.com, I'm sure, and build it yourself. But we're just taking that heavy lifting off of your hands and building it for you.
Yeah, especially with pre-built PCs, you love to hear that they're easy to upgrade. It's always easier to justify buying pre-built if you know that you're going to be able to add new components later on as needed.
Exactly.
Are there any other shared features that these two systems have?
So, just to go back a little on that, it's a very, like you said, very easy with tool-free design. Other features that these have, Wi-Fi 6 a big one for me. Not a lot of people, even though it's kind of like a cardinal sin for PC gamers, especially desktop gamers, to game on Wi-Fi. It's not always feasible, especially if you say you have your router downstairs and you have your computer upstairs or something to run a line. So having Wi-Fi 6 network at home and having a Wi-Fi 6 compatible desktop really gets you close to that Ethernet experience. Actually, even about 3 times the latency drop from Wi-Fi 5 previous generations. The two systems also come bundled with a lot of accessories. Something I'm glad we're doing is we're providing pretty good high quality gaming peripherals with both models. So I believe our GK30 keyboard, which is a blender style hybrid keyboard, RGB lighting, and works with our MSI Mystic Light ecosystem that the desktops use. And also the GM11 mouse, which coincidentally I'm using at the moment. Let's see if we can get a shot of it.
Yeah, show it off.
Sure. So, you got your RGB here, very high quality optical sensor, and it just feels great on hand. When I guess you touch it, very smooth, very glides very well on your mouse pad, doesn't get caught up. So
yeah, not only do they look great, but they're actually pro level gaming peripherals that are coming with these pre-built rigs, which is awesome.
Right. So you're not being held back by your peripherals. Something that's you might find at your dollar store that might be included. Definitely not. Right. So you don't necessarily have to upgrade these down the line. Obviously, that's your preference, but they're great. They're great. They'll last you for a long time. Just going back a little bit, both of these systems are compatible with our Dragon Center software, so you get a lot of customizability there. Not to mention Mystic Light, where you can set your RGB profiles, but also with the different game modes. You can even share clips automatically of if you pop off in game, you get a bunch of kills, or you win that crown in the Fall Guys. You could easily share it in social media, things like that.
All right, now these systems, they also have magnetic dust filters on the ports, right? Tell me about that.
Sure. So, especially, for example, our AEGIS RS, that one's using our Gungnir 110R case. Mm-hmm. So that one does have magnetic dust filters, top in the front, underneath where your PSU is. And obviously those are great. The less dust it gets in your system, the quieter it runs, the cooler it runs, and it all just means that your components last a lot longer when everything's nice and clean inside. So obviously they will get dirty themselves, and the part that they're magnetic, is very convenient because you could just lift them off, wipe them off, put them back on. A few seconds, you're done.
Yeah,
So,
super easy. And then for people who are not familiar with MSI's Dragon Center, can you tell us what that is?
sure. So Dragon Center is kind of like an all-in-one app that MSI offers. Like I was mentioning before, has a lot of different ways that helps you optimize your system. You could optimize it for gaming, optimize it for just normal workload. If you just want it quieter, you can also do that. In addition to that, you have a game app where you can control things through your phone. You have an overlay as well. So if you're in game, you want to change some settings, you can just do that really quickly with I believe it's Control Tab. You could just bring that interface up and take it out, toggle it off. So just a lot of very convenient features that optimize your system to your preference.
And now, once again, just from looking at the footage that we have rolling just below us right now on stream,
Sure.
MSI has delivered some fantastic looking tech with these builds. Can you talk a little bit about the aesthetics and the appearance of the two systems?
Right. So starting with the Codex R, has like a very, to me, very practical look to it, even though it has that edgy look with the diagonal kind of triangular bar towards the center of the front. But it has a mesh filter in the front as well. So you get a lot of airflow coming through the front and keeps your system cool. And I think it looks pretty cool as well, kind of diffusing in a way the RGB coloring for the fans at the back. However, on the Aegis R, especially in person, I can't stress it enough. It looks really awesome. You have the front panel with one side being half, as you can see, half tempered glass, the other half kind of a brushed plastic feel to it. And at the bottom, you have your intakes, and on the sides, obviously on the left-hand panel, you have your tempered glass. So you can easily remove it with just a few thumb screws. No tools needed for that. And overall, just a great look. You get 3 fans, you have full RGB customization. At the top of the case for both, you have a RGB button. So you don't necessarily even have to use software. You just have to press that. You cycle different RGB profiles, and maybe for some reason you want to turn off the RGB. You just hold down the button a few seconds, and it turns off for you. So it's great, especially the Aegis R. It has a lot of good ports as well. You have your standard USB-A ports at the top. You have your 2 audio jacks. You have your power button, and that also a USB Type-C, which I think is pretty key. Not a lot of cases, more coming out like them, but not a lot of cases have it at the moment. So it's great to see that system come with built-in USB-C support for the case.
Who would want to turn off their RGB, George?
I know, right? It's kind of heathens out there, right? But you never know. The option's there.
The option is there, and there's some people who prefer their systems sleek. You can obviously see where I stand on the
Right.
RGB spectrum, but it's nice to have those options and an alternative if you don't want to get in and mess with software. So that's very cool. Is there anything else that people should know about the Codex R or the Aegis RS?
Right. One of my favorite things about it is that these systems, both the Codex R and the Aegis RS, are assembled and built here in the U.S. So what that does is gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of production, and lets us configure and come up with new configurations on the fly. Especially this industry, parts come basically every year, so we're able to make changes and upgrade our SKUs and come up with new configurations quickly instead of having to wait for shipments, stuff like that. We could just build it all in house and have good quality control for that, and get it out to everybody on chat as soon as possible. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite feature, having access to that build process here.
And speaking of chat, I know MSI has actually been in chat answering a bunch of questions, but for those who are asking about the connectivity options, you will have the option of either Ethernet or Intel Wi-Fi 6 connectivity with these systems. And I'm trying to just scan to see. I see Bradley in chat says no RGB at all for you, and that's okay. To each their own. That's what we have. And Daedalus says all the RGB. So we have the full spectrum, pun very intended. George, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
And thanks to everybody out there for watching too. Thank you to everybody who's here in chat or the folks that are just lurking and tuning in or watching this later. Remember to check out the links in the description below for full details on these gorgeous new gaming systems. We have Newegg exclusive spec options as well as the other choices that we discussed today. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Check the link. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.